Hey yo, what it do, what it do? It's your boy Q, and we're just a couple of days away from VCT Toronto. And you know what? Unfortunately, I can't necessarily do pick'ems because, well, with Swiss stages, we don't exactly know who's going to draw who. So I figured let's do something a little bit different. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of a tier list. Heading into our VCT opening weekend here for Masters Toronto, and I figured we can go ahead and kind of get things talking out as far as talking points here, because it's kind of interesting. It feels weird to see PRX coming in as the 3 seed when we talk about for Pacific. No EDG. I mean, EMEA, I would say I'm not too surprised in. I think the big thing that I'm surprised about is that Team Liquid ended up pulling through and being able to wrap things up and send themselves through in that 3 seed. I would have probably figured either Vitality or maybe even BBL Esports. And I know Vitality might be a weird team name to think there, since they went 2 and 3 in open number 1, or sorry, stage number 1. But I did think they were a team that showed quite a bit of potential. I think BBL also were hot at the right time. It's just unfortunately weren't able to take down Liquid. That was a tough series though in that lower bracket semifinal. Really could have gone either way. We also think about in the past, historically it feels like China has underperformed despite EDG's success. I feel like this is going to be where we really see that change. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if a majority of our teams towards the end of the tournament are from both Pacific and China. But let's go ahead and get down to it. We talk about our favorites here at the top. Or actually, let's do it. Should we do favorites? Should we go all the way across the bottom, left to right? You know what? Let's actually work from the bottom up. No, we'll go ahead and work left to right, and then we'll kind of figure out if we want to adjust from there. So let's start with Bilibili Gaming, coming in as the number 2 seed from China. Who is their opening match? Bilibili opens up against Team Liquid. I feel like that's probably a dubski for them there. Despite the fact that I do think China will see an increase in their performance, I do think we will still probably see one of the Chinese teams eliminated relatively early. I don't think that's going to be Bilibili though. I think Bilibili does have some playoff potential, so we're going to put them there for now. Fnatic seems like they've kind of hit their stride, like the Fnatic of old, if we're being perfectly honest. Had a really strong run through the EMEA, obviously ended up winning playoffs as well. But even when you look back to their group stage, their one loss that they did take was at the end of the season to Team Heretics. Could argue that maybe they weren't necessarily locked in since they were already set up for playoffs. It's kind of hard to tell. Of course, you know, EMEA has had the 2 of those teams, both Heretics and Fnatic, have looked pretty solid consistently through the last couple of years. Heretics do have that, you know, kind of second place curse over their head right now. I think, funny enough, Heretics are one of those teams, either we see them in the grand finals or they go out early. But when we talk about Fnatic itself, I can't help but see them as the favorites. Again, I think when you just look at the form that they've been in as of late, especially when you look towards how playoffs went over in EMEA, I just don't see a place where you can really count them out. I mean, the only series that was close was the Team Liquid one, and that could have been over on Icebox had that gone the opposite way. Of course, all 3 maps were relatively close, so maybe something to think about Liquid, despite the fact that I did mention surprised to see them get here to this point as far as top 3 going off to Toronto. But I think for now, we're going to leave Fnatic up at the top. I mean, when you look at their roster, Boaster, Alphair, Chronicle, Kajak, and Crashies, I don't see a team that really competes up with them that high. I mean, I think just as much as I think Heretics is like a second or bust, I think the same thing could be said for PRX. We'll go through the rest as we kind of get there. We talk about G2, number 1 seed in North America. I mean, second at Masters Bangkok. I don't know. I feel like they've been looking really, really solid as of lately. Probably a grand finals contender would be where I put them. I don't know if I necessarily put them as a favorite, although I could see them moving up to there, but I just feel like favorites, there's really only one, right? We'll see how the rest of the list kind of fills out from there. I think as we continue moving forward, Gen G, I liked them more last year. I do think Gen G still look pretty solid. Texture, Karen, Munchkin, Foxy9, Ash. I think for now, probably above Bilibili Gaming as far as playoff potential. But I don't know if I can necessarily put them as like a grand finals contenders right now. And I think part of that reason is I'm not sure where I put Team Heretics. I mean, they start off against PRX, which is such a tough draw to get. For those of y'all who watched my VCT pick'ems for Pacific as far as for playoffs, I said the PRX could be a perfect 3 seed because they could be a real disruptor when it comes to the brackets, the pick'ems. I think for right now, we'll also put them at grand finals contenders. Despite maybe where some people don't think EMEA is that deep, I do still think the top teams in EMEA definitely compete amongst the best in the world. We'll see how the rest of this thing fills out. As far as for Team Liquid, they do start off against Bilibili Gaming. I think that's going to be a tough draw for them. Question really becomes, how does the rest of Swiss play out? I think for now, we're going to go ahead and put Team Liquid at risk. MIBR, also an interesting one. Aspas and Friends, I feel like we really should call it, I feel like it's always hard to bet up against Aspas. But when you talk about on the global stage, as far as performing with the best of the best, I mean, obviously we haven't had too many good looks as far as global performances from MIBR with this roster as far as for now. Their opening matchup is against Gen G. I think for now we can probably put them at the bottom of playoff potential. Might put them to the top of at risk depending how the rest of things go here. For PRX, they are a team that starts off against Team Heretics. I had mentioned before that I do think PRX is a very good 3rd seed. Divide, Forsaken, Something, Ying, Hatman. Kind of getting hot at the right time to be able to secure themselves a spot. Because obviously we had seen them only go 2 and 3 during the regular season. They did take down Boom Esports, though, which was the squad that went undefeated. It is an Ascension team. Still not exactly sure how I feel about Boom at this point. I think because we haven't seen the consistency from them, we're going to go ahead and put PRX at the top of at risk for now. RRQ, a team that was at the top of Group Omega, but only did so at 3 and 2. Group Omega was interesting in Pacific. And honestly, I'm not really sure how much I believe in RRQ. It's kind of scraped by against DRX. The big thing that was really that stood out in that series was the Icebox match. But I mean, both Lotus and Fracture went the distance. Technically, Lotus needed a overtime. But how do I feel about them competing on the global stage? They're obviously going to make their way through Swiss, so there had to be a playoff potential team, right? I think I probably put them between Bilibili Gaming and MIBR. Is probably how I feel there. Sentinels just always seem to fall short. I shouldn't say always seem to fall short. They did have, a major win 2 years ago? Last year they had a major win. But I don't know, man. There's just something about Sentinels on the biggest of stages, and maybe it's just the Sentinel hater in me. They did go 4-1 in VCT Americas. They were champs at Madrid last year, 4th at champs. And I don't think this roster is too much different from that one, right? Picked up Zelsis? No, Zelsis was there last year. Who was it? Bang. Bang you had picked up. Narrate was you had picked up. Redux is your substitute. Yeah, I think I have them going out in Swiss, honestly. And I think the biggest reason being is I think Wolves throws them a curveball. Ironically enough, I don't think Wolves qualify as either. Trying to think about as far as how things sit around. I feel like probably Wolves. Or would I rather do Team Liquid there? I think that might be how I go, honestly. Just because Team Liquid also seems to have a history of choking on the big stage. And remember, this is top 12 teams? So finishing the bottom 2, like, yeah, it sucks, but you're still really good at Valorant. You know what I mean? There's got to be a couple of teams that go home early. It's interesting that I have MIBR up here because XLG definitely makes playoffs, right? So maybe go BAM. BAM probably would be the way I do it. So I do feel like XLG, number 1 out of China. Again, I know that there's some people who think that the whole like Chinese success is more about EDG's fall off than how other teams have done being able to close the gap. I end up being quite the opposite though. I think the game is really stepping up over in VCT China. Of course, I say that, and BLG is the only playoff potential team that I have. And XLG up there, but yeah. Honestly, I think this isn't a bad tier list. I mean, favorites, I do gotta agree. I don't think I'm moving off of Fnatic there. I think grand finalist contenders that I would believe go there with Fnatic would be G2 and Heretics. I don't know, man. There's something that really wants me to put PRX at playoff potential. I also feel like I should have another team up here because there's, 8 teams that go to playoff anyways, right? And it would be one of those that, like, I feel like if I were to do it, it'd probably be PRX that I move up. Or would it make sense to have one team make playoffs from at risk? And it's funny because now I'm going to be moving PRX to the top of that risk. Because I do feel like I believe more in... Do I believe more than in PRX over Aspas and Friends? This would be the first time that Aspas hasn't made a Masters playoffs, if that's the case, right? Because even at Tokyo, back in 2023, they were top 8. They went out to EDG in the first round of playoffs. Yeah, I guess you'd have to go back to Copenhagen? Would that be right? No, in Shanghai, they went out before top 8, right? Right? When he was on Leviathan? They fell to foot in the final round of Swiss. So it has been done. The question, I guess, is, do we feel like MIBR has shown more consistency that we can believe in going into playoffs here? MIBR did go 4-1 during Americas. You could argue was close to taking down G2. Yeah, maybe we do keep MIBR above PRX there. And I think that's probably actually the tier list that I roll with. Fnatic is our favorites. G2 and Team Heretics is our other potential contenders in the grand finals. Who we expect to make the playoffs would be XLG, Gen G, Billy Gaming. I would almost put RRQ at the top of that risk, but I do feel like when we got a 5 tier sort of tier list here, like that middle tier should be the one that's most filled. And again, RRQ in Pacific was in the group of death. Actually, the group of death was the other one, wasn't it? It was Group Alpha, that was the group of death. I mean, you took down PRX, you took down DRX, you took down Gen G. I mean, can you really ask for more from RRQ before heading into international play? You took down T1 in week 4. I feel like the Team Secret game was one of those. You just probably was a trap series. Otherwise, they would have walked away 4-1. Yeah, I think that's where we're going, chat. I think that's what I'm liking right there. Let me know what you guys, though, think down in those comments below, where I'm right, where I'm wrong. I love talking it up with you guys over here on YouTube. I know it's been a little bit of a break, man. The end of the semester was absolutely hectic. I've been out of town. We had 3 LANs in the last 6 weeks your boy was hosting, or 3 like LAN events that I've been helping host at, including the Scholastic Expo up in Manitoba. So your boy's been super busy, but now that we're into this summer, and especially since it does look like the one thing that was looking like it was going to keep me busy over summer is going to fall through, unfortunately. We're going to get back on our content grind, man. So if you've been enjoying the vibes, you want to keep up with as far as VCT, RLCS, we'll get into some ALGS as well. I'm going to be trying to bring back the podcast too, where we talk esports, bringing on guests this time around as well. If you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button down below, turn those notifications on. And until we catch y'all back for the next one, man. Don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love hard. All right, y'all? It's your boy Q, signing out.